When Margaret was about to move into her house on Regent Street in Lakefield, she was told, "Margaret, I don't know if I should tell you this, but this house 2 families ago was a funeral home." And in her memoirs, Margaret Lawrence wrote, "I fell about laughing. For the moment, they must have thought I was crazy. But then I told them my own grandfather on my mother's side had been an undertaker, and the funeral home came into all of my Canadian fiction. I thought it was very appropriate. I also thought if any of the long-gone mothers and fathers of the village lingered in the house, their spirits would surely wish me well." And I believe they did. She loved that house, and she wrote 4 books there.
Peterborough. And before that, I was an unbelievably unsuccessful political candidate. And in one election, I forget now which one it was, I came to this door canvassing as a candidate. And Margaret and I engaged in quite a considerable debate. I forget the topic now. And it ended not in a very friendly fashion, and she kind of slammed the door when I left.
This door?
That's fine. This is this very door, the one right here. There was a twist to this, though. At that time, in addition to being a political candidate, I was dean or vice president or something at Trent, and it came to Convocation Day. And although people say it never rains at Convocation Trent, it actually does from time to time. But the very first year it significantly rained was one of Margaret's years as Chancellor. And when it rained, who was it that had to hold the umbrella over the Chancellor, Margaret Lawrence, but Peter Adams, former political candidate, future MPP, and former debater with Margaret Lawrence right here.
And you didn't get the foot in the door.
No, I did not get the foot in the door. And I suspect, and all you people who know about Margaret more than I do, I suspect in that election anyway she voted NDP.
That's the kind of introduction I will give them, I don't know. But in the meantime, it is my pleasure to present a man who has had and continues to have much to do with the launching of Canadian literary talent. I'm proud to present for the first time this evening my friend, Peter Sosek.
I love it. I want one of these to take home. Chelsea, you must hate it. You're standing there being self-conscious and some gray-haired old guy is going to stand up and read this lovely piece that you wrote. Anyways, so if I mess up, here's the deal. You can tell me now, or later this evening when Nino and I go over to the theater, I thought I might read a couple of pieces of mine. If I screw yours up, you come up to the theater and read something of mine. Deal?
Bueno, un cerveza, por favor. It's really wonderful to be here speaking in Lakefield, where I spent 9 of my more academic years of my life. I graduated from Lakefield District Secondary School in 1980, and I don't know if anybody here remembers, but is the Lakefield Leader still alive? No, it's dead. Well, for 1 year, I had a column in the Lakefield Leader talking about all the wonderful things that were happening in Curve Lake at the time. And I remember one of my foremost stories was the fact that the Curve Lake Band Office was raffling off a good used car. And nowadays, I have a column in, I think, four newspapers and all this other wonderful stuff happening, and it's sort of like, it's always good to come home. I come home once a month, approximately, every 3 to 5 weeks, to visit my mother and the rest of my family. And I think it's just so cool to come back and see a literary festival here in Lakefield, where I read most of the more important books of my life and my ongoing growth as a writer. What I'm going to read from today, something like that. Me, good writer.
The clock struck pardon me, 7. The clock struck 8, and Jenny Jemima's hair stood straight. Whoa! Whoa! Okay, that was just the middle part. I agree the middle part was not quite as scary as you might have expected. But now we come to the conclusion, the climax, the veritable ending, and you'll see what I mean. The clock struck 9. The clock struck 10. The ghost wound the clock and went home again. The end.
More help had arrived by then, and men were already cutting away the burning roof and flinging the flaming brands into the deep snow.
Mrs. Moody, have you any pickled meat?
Yes, we have.
Well then, fling the beef into the snow and let us have the brine.
This was an admirable idea. Wherever the brine wetted the shingles, the fire turned from it and concentrated into one spot. Our gallant friends soon managed to bring the fire under control before it destroyed the walls. 6 men, without the aid of water, succeeded in saving a building which almost all of them had deemed past hope, showing how much can be done by persons working in union without bustle or confusion or getting in each other's way. Beyond the damage done to the building, the loss of our potatoes, and 2 sacks of flour, we had escaped in a manner almost miraculous.
Since it began in 1995, this festival has showcased an astonishing parade of Canadian literary talent. Writers like Rohinton Mistry, Catherine Govier, the late Peter Zosky, Richard B. Wright, Eileen Young, Orm and Barbara Mitchell, Cherie Finch, Dennis Lee, and many others have helped celebrate Lakefield's role in nurturing Canadian literature. It was in this small village, of course, that Susanna Moody and Catherine Parr Trail did so much work so long ago, inspiring so many people who've come after. At the dinner, for those of you who were there a little while ago, we were remembering not only those 2 sisters and Margaret Lawrence, but also Carol Shields, who some of you might know did her master's in Ottawa about Susanna Moody, whom she found a great inspiration because, of course, Carol Shields herself was an immigrant from the States to this country and had her own adjustments to make and was so moved and stirred by the adjustments made by Susanna Moody, who, of course, probably would have regarded Carol Shields as one of those damn Yankees. So, by the way, sort of roughing it in this grand tent, the auditorium you usually swelter in, if you've been here in years gone by, is undergoing renovations right now, including the installation of air conditioning. Isn't that wonderful? Ooh.